New Earth Strategies, day one. And it is March 20th, first day of April, of Aries, pretty much. Spring solstice. We're into some great new energies, and I'm kind of absorbing a lot of healing and stretching and getting the pain out of my body. But I feel I need to stop and share some of this. As I say, we finished the last series on 13 with a half hour of a lot of kind of summarizing some points. But now I'm trying to get to the place where we're actually making things happen. Amazingly, yesterday there was a post, someone talking about networking, global networks of intentional communities and communes and co-ops. And they're doing it already. And just all I got to do is, PM them or contact them and they'll pull you in. But those very same people, and I'm going to be talking to them face to face because he's a youngin'. But this generation has a lot of new, interesting energies, and he still puts it as this is how we defeat the elite, and this is how we fight back. It's like, okay, cut out all that negative energy right now. It's not part of the healing that's happening. The elite are just running down their programming. It's a machine that's got us all in its grips. We need to pull the humans out of that and reconnect on a new logic. And there is a logic of community-based economies where the communities are fed from people join them willingly. They form organically around function and meaning. Right now, what we have, the remnants of that is in the current businesses that are, coalescing around function. And then, but we have a disconnect in terms of the purpose of all of our efforts. And we're in a place where we can finally begin to understand it. It's not about finger pointing. It's not about regrets. We are amazing as a civilization, as an energy force, as a a collaborative effort of human beings, entities, because we are spirit entities. Yeah, even from the pure materialist sciences are coming around to the dynamics, which essentially describes how you know spirit energies are real. But where we are now as a civilization is an incredibly complex, looking very dangerous place, and yet inevitable. It was a result of where all the trends were going to lead. And now we're in a place where we can be victims to our own design or understand it more holistically and intelligently and without malice or finger pointing, refocus it. And we're exactly at that place. So I'm going to be contacting this guy who's doing the networking of communities and community-based efforts and off the grid. He's talking about strictly off the grid. Well, brother, yeah, that's fantastic. That's one of the vectors that needs to be developed. And the whole logic of working together is the whole practice that we've lost the art of. And as we understand in the free market, what we really all need is things that are healthy, things, businesses we can really trust that take care of their employees as if they were family because we're trying to all be family. And so I'm just going to, again, say that we're talking about walking this thing down Main Street as if there was no enemy. We're speaking directly to the elites and saying, look, uh, this is how we can future fit and retrofit all of our advances into something that holds, can respond intelligently from the heart instead of the fears. When we're all disconnected, we don't see how we actually really help each other. We can't be backstabbing each other. It's like stabbing yourself in the foot. trying to eat your foot. We're past a lot of this. Now, at the same time, there's all this us versus them going on. And that's going to continue to play itself out amongst those that are bought into that. But the ones that are not bought into that can understand the oneness of it, have to start making that manifest in the 3D world. That's how people that disagree with you can start working together with you. It's not about concepts. It's about the reality of it. Cooperative networks is how ecologies work. It's Rupert Sheldrake called it embedded holographies of meaning. Your own personal meaning, your family, your community, and then extended networks. And we're in a place where to make this whole thing global, first of all, it goes through the expansion phase that runs roughshod over all these delicacies. And that's where we are at the end of. We've come through it, and we're still here, and we still have some tools. But these tools are going to disappear quick if we don't put them to good use. I'm talking about AI. I'm talking about all this burst of energy we have now that we're turning the spigots on. The American economy is leading the way. It is the most robust and fast-moving economy, and it needs to continue to push towards not making rich people more richer or increase the numbers of elites, but to find a way to include all of us in that prosperity. That was the original logic, and it's still possible, but you have to get past some of the shortcuts that we've fallen into in this expansion phase, where it really was a fear-driven. It still is, obviously. I mean, this is what we're trying to pull out of, but there's already the leading edge is pulled out of it already. There's already the logic of intentional communities, of cooperative networks. It's out there. It's happening. What hasn't quite happened yet is the healing of pointing fingers. The left versus right is at its most flagrant and mean-spirited. Right now, the right is in the ascendancy because it needs to be the foundation. The idea that you do things on the ground before you can imagine sharing it. You have to manifest the abundance and the wealth and the grounded resource before you can suggest that it should be shared fairly and equally. I was going to say mandated, enforced. That's what the left wants to do. Now, so the right is currently in the United States in the ascendancy because it needed to break through the dark agenda, the dark elites. They were just, I'm saying dark because you can't see them. Not because they're evil, but because they're hidden. And they're hidden. Once you're hidden, you're not putting everything on the table. You're probably going to be trying to be sneaky. I want to suggest there are multiple conspiracies of evil, but no true foundation, source, grounded, transcendent source of evil. The transcendent source of everything is the benevolent cosmos, if you want to be abstract about it. It's an energy of life that finds its own way until it can start thinking about directing itself in a shorthand. That includes both evolution and focused, intentional, masculine intentionality, Jehovah style, and also the idea that Buddhite style and materialite. These are the three tribes we all belong to some extent, and they're all valid. And the discrepancies from between the Buddhites and the Jehovites gets resolved in the materialite realm, where there's discipline and there are natural hierarchies and there are right ways of doing things. If you have a pure Buddhite thing, which is sort of the left, just dreaming up ideals, you can just imagine things are going to be a certain way and demand it. Socialism. Stuff like that. I mean, it's a good intention. It's well-intentioned, but it's not grounded to the real, where things are complex. There's no uniform, that kind of, oddly enough, while they are championing personal diversity, it creates total homogeny. The whole left-wing approach of generic equality that isn't grounded in specific projects. And the specific projects are so detailed and complex, just like the ecology of anything. I'm out here in this magnificent old growth forest backyard, which has me so inspired that I don't really want to be talking to anybody right now. I just want to absorb it. But this is where we all are. And this is still what most of the planet could be. And it springs right back to that quickly. Um, the science of ecology is real. The right wing needs to just go with what it knows and stop pointing fingers. But, oh boy, now they know what it like, because they point fingers at everybody else that doesn't understand us as evil. No, that's not what Jehovah was saying. Jehovah's giving you a shorthand. Stick to that. The rest is also real. It's a wide cosmos of possibilities, and it gets worked out in the real world. There is no discrepancy. There's a unity between the material and the spirit, the oneness that the Buddhites talk about. Jehovites talk about it too, but don't you understand? You see the immediate separation that's created by that misconception? Jehovah, someone else? He's one of us, but he is. There's a way that you can see how that worked out. Some of the Gnostics have a glimpse of it, but they ascribe ulterior motives to a natural occurrence. I've seen a different vision of it, and there are new visions that make all of these discrepancies come together. Strangely, it's all rooted in a three-sided paradox, things that shouldn't be, but they are, and that's how it works. A three-sided paradox, information theory. What we are is ourselves trying to understand what's happening. What's happening is not us. That's the third element. Ourselves trying to understand. Anyway, there's a three-sided paradox there that brings things into being. The paradox of infinite regression paradox that has Jehovah creating himself and no explanation before that. And also the materialist explanations leave that one out. There's just like, yeah, previous universe, multiverse, just we don't know. It just suddenly started. The logic of presence makes it make sense. And you get to that by being who you are. And you get to where we are now by feeling things at a body and intuitive level. There's a threeness there. There's the logic in your logical mind. There's the intuitive. That's like the rest of all this information coming at us real quick on the internet. And then there's your own body. Start feeling that more intimately. I'm trying to stretch into the pain. There's a good pain of stretching and healing. That's where we all are. Can be. And what it takes is a certain focus. And you ground your presence as we can do this as a civilization in an understanding of the complex. You have to do a lot of things to be really feeling great in the day. There's a complexity within your body that you honor. There's a complexity on the planet ecologically. There's a complexity in the economy. There's a complexity in all these multitudes of cultures we have. And the potential is awesome to be a magnificent planet of multicultural possibilities. And if we keep the internet connected and we have instant information at everyone's fingertips, and the institutions of knowledge don't try to hold on with fear to all their information, but we somehow find a way to share it gracefully. And it's not to give it all away, because then you have people rushing the soup kitchen. It's about you become part of a responsible community of ownership that takes care of the various aspects that we all need. It's a complex 17 by 18 minimum matrix of different, but the first ones are obvious: food, housing, construction materials, health, different ways of staying healthy, different ways of bringing people back to health. Then there's education, food preparation, growing the food, understanding of obviously all these. See how quickly you can get to a multitude of these. But there's some basic ones, and we get some projects happening there. And with AI, you can let imagination run ahead of actuality, and you project what you want to do, and AI can give you a good visualization of it. But we're at a place where this can happen really quickly. And the idea that the elites are going to fight back, look, the elites are holding on, and that's a good thing. We can retrofit calmly to a more intelligently. It starts with, let's say, your consumers are no longer just random people that you can fool with advertising, and they're suddenly all affiliated with responsible networks. So you get group purchasing of well-informed, But we got to get to a place where all these competing claims can settle down and work together. The way that the small furniture businesses in Philadelphia stayed in business when a huge furniture business came into town, uh, was that they networked cooperatively and they started sharing the work, and were able to match all the large orders that the big business did. And you know what? Businesses cooperate a lot more than we realize as consumers. But the whole thing could be a higher order, healthier, more nourishing arrangement. We have to let go of the idea that the elites are doing this to us or anyone's doing it to us. It's something we got to collectively, and it's a collective effort to bring us out, but we can do it. Let's hold together.